Welcome back to the 13 Sports Coaches Show. I'm Andrew Lynn, joined alongside Topeka High softball coach Shane Miles. Coach, thanks for taking a couple minutes this afternoon.
Yes, thanks for having me. Appreciate
You're,
it.
you're coming off one of the best seasons since 2022, a return trip to state. How cool is that to get back to the 6A state tournament in Lawrence?
Yeah, it was one of our goals to get back to that state tournament. We hadn't been back there in a couple years, but having those girls, young girls, experience that state tournament was big for us. Only returning two girls that had state tournament experience, and the rest of them had never been there. So that was great to be back.
Do you feel like you had maybe a little bit of pressure on your shoulders after 22, losing Nyjah, and kind of the expectation was that Topeka High was this powerhouse softball program that you needed to get back, or kind of how do you approach that as a coach, knowing that you want to get back there, but sometimes that's not always in the cards?
We always treat every year as a new team. You're going to get new kids, different kids every year, and you just got to um, do the best job you can with what you have coming in. And like I said, every year's new. This was a totally different new group this year too. We only had two returners from that 22 team, and the rest were made up of mostly freshmen and sophomores this year. So.
One of those returners being Joe Benning, who was a freshman on the 22 state championship team. How important is it to, you said you only have two, but how important is it to have just a couple girls who, maybe didn't play as freshmen, but could at least, understand the stakes, the expectations, what you expect as a coach going into the final weekend of the year?
Yeah, it was nice to have those two girls that had that state tournament experience. Um, if I believe both of those girls played
Okay.
or had a role in the state tournament, being Joe Benning and then Montgomery Friel, um, but just so that they could lead by example and show the girls, what's expected when we get here, what to uh, what to expect when we get to the state tournament. And it's on a bigger stage, and you're playing at a lot bigger stadium. More people are watching you, and it's just a game too. And that's kind of how we prepared that week too. Going as the 8th seed and playing the number one team in the state, the pressure was on them. So we didn't give our best effort, but those girls, those freshman and sophomore girls and juniors got to experience that state tournament, and hopefully we'll be back there, next year and the years come.
Speak to your senior class and just how proud you are of everything they've accomplished. And again, what a regional final game against Mays to punch your ticket.
Right. Yeah, we had three seniors this year, being Joe Montgomery and then Lauren Bachman, too, which came to us from Cara Paravel. But we only had her for 2 years this year, or yeah, this year. Yeah, that was a big for his senior class too. They've been close the last 2 years in regional championship games, losing to Derby 8-6, and then losing to Hayesville campus last year, who took second in state to 6-3. So we were right there. But for them to punch their ticket against Mays, and we really played really well that night. That was a joy for them.
It also felt like, and I was there in the stands, I think for the back half of that game. Um, it felt like there was maybe a time there in, the fourth or fifth where you had built a lead and then, you kept Joe in there and she had, a couple struggles. Maybe she walked a couple batters or, there were a couple batters that went to, 10 or 11 pitches. It felt like, just talk about your trust in her and how she's proven to be, she's a Division I pitcher, but I felt like you kept your trust in your players in that game and said, you're going to get the job done.
Well, and we got down 4-0 in the first inning, and our girls responded with their bats, and when a team's hitting well and scoring runs, it can take some pressure off the pitcher. When you have some runs to play with, as a pitcher, you can have that confidence, and knowing that my defense is going to back me up, and my defense is going to back me up, but also my bats are going to back me up. But Joe's a competitor. Um, she might not have her best stuff one day, but she's going to find a different way to get it done. It might be through throwing more changeups. It might be through throwing more rise balls. It just kind of depends on her. And some days she looks really good. Some days you got to find a different way to get stuff done, and she's done a good job with that.
I want to move away just from this team for a couple minutes and talk about Naja Kennedy. And I know she's gotten a lot of press, but I think it's really important that obviously she didn't win Player of the Year this year. She was a finalist, but she's one of the best college softball players in the country. How important is it that she's representing Topeka on the national stage?
Yeah, it's a blessing. It was a blessing to coach her. She's a true athlete, but just unbelievable person too. Yeah, we keep in touch about every week. We text each other. And it's sometimes it's not even softball related. I've gotten a chance to. I went to Lubbock one time this year. Watched her pitch, and then I got to take my daughter and then go to the championship series, the College World Series, and see her pitch. But yeah, it's pretty remarkable what she's doing for women's sports and changing it. Um, but like I said, she's a great athlete, but she's a much better person.
Since she's left, and I'm sure I don't know how many conversations there were when she was there, just because maybe it's a little bit awkward, but since she's left, do you talk to your players just about the person she was, the role model she was, and maybe telling these girls, like, you know, don't just aspire to be, the world-class athlete that she is, but she's doing so many things for Topeka?
Yeah, we talk about her a lot. The girls watch her on TV a lot. Um, they can see her competitiveness and her emotion, in the circle. I mean, she got that signature Nija stomp thing going on, and she came back. I want to say it was in December. We were having some winter workouts, some conditioning workouts, and she got a chance to talk to the girls. Which I thought was going to be a 10, 15-minute conversation. It turned into about 2 hours of girls asking questions, trying to learn. So she's giving back to us, and she's giving back to Topeka too.
And then finally, I just wondered what the summer looks like. I'm not super familiar with high school softball. I would assume that you guys are. Do you guys do things at all during the summer with it being a spring sport, or is this kind of like the travel? This is like the travel ball season.
Yeah, so you can do some things with your girls. I give my girls the summer to play travel ball. A lot of my girls are 2, 3 sport athletes too. So there's competitive volleyball going on too. There's basketball. So this is a chance for them to be a kid, and uh, play that travel ball role. Um, we'll start our winter workouts. I call them winter workouts, our strength and conditioning workouts, as soon as high school volleyball season's over with. So like that first October or first of November range, Thanksgiving range, and then we go curl into February, and that's just with conditioning and weights.
Well, that right there is Topeka High softball coach Shane Miles. Coach, thanks for your time, and we'll see you next time here on the 13 Sports Coaches Show.
Hey, I appreciate.